The power goes out. In 2026, a woman in Ohio finds her phone, looks for candles, finds none, and orders delivery. In 1953, a woman in the same house reached into the drawer she always reached into, lit the lamp that was always where she put it, and had dinner on the table by 6. She was not more resourceful. She was not tougher. She just had 20 things in place that nobody had yet replaced with a switch. Number 13 will surprise you. Number 1 cannot be put in a drawer. This is what those 20 things were. Number 20, the storm drawer. She had a drawer. One specific drawer, always the same one. In it, 2 white utility candles, a box of diamond matches, a torch with batteries that worked, and a stub of pencil for notes she might need to leave. Not because she was unusually prepared, because she had always had it, since before she had an electric light to go out. Diamond matches cost 22 cents for a box of 300 in 1952. The torch cost $1.19 at the 5 and dime. The drawer cost nothing. It required only one decision, made once, where things go, and then leaving them there every time. A home emergency kit in the shops today runs $65 and comes in a red bag with a checklist inside. The drawer costs less than $2. It worked the same way. Number 19, she filled the bathtub. Before the lights had been out 5 minutes, she ran the cold tap into the bathtub. Not to drink, because she understood that when the pumping station loses power long enough, household water pressure drops. She did not panic about it. She turned on the tap, went back to the kitchen, and got on with things. A full bathtub holds approximately 40 gallons. 40 gallons of water weighs 330 pounds sitting quietly in the tub, ready. It costs nothing to collect before it disappears. Number 18, she lit the oil lamp. Not the candles. The candles were a last resort. She knew the difference. An Aladdin kerosene lamp gives approximately 60 watts of usable light, roughly equivalent to a standard incandescent bulb. A white household candle gives about 12. She had not sat down one day and calculated this. She had watched what worked, the way she had learned everything practical, by doing it, in a house where things were actually used. Kerosene ran about 30 cents a gallon in 1953. She kept a full tin in the utility cupboard, behind the laundry powder. The Aladdin lamp itself, bought new, cost around $10 at the hardware shop. She set it on the kitchen table. There was a brief, familiar smell of kerosene as it caught. Nothing unpleasant, just the lamp coming on, the same smell it had made every time. Its white light reached the whole room. The candles stayed in the drawer. Number 17, the gas stove kept going. The electric lights went out. The gas did not. Most homes in the 1950s ran a gas range with a pilot light, a small, continuous flame that required no electricity, no ignition, no push of a button. When the power failed, she turned the dial, and there was the brief, sharp smell of gas before the burner caught, and then dinner continued exactly as planned. The chicken was already in the cast iron. The potatoes were already on. The only thing the blackout had done was make the kitchen a little darker. Number 16, the cast iron held the heat. Cast iron does not conduct heat the way a thin, modern pan does. It absorbs it, holds it, and releases it slowly and evenly over time. A pan she had brought out of her marriage or inherited from a mother, or bought secondhand at a church sale for 50 cents, seasoned black, heavy as something permanent, would hold a cooking temperature 15 to 20 minutes after the burner went off. During a winter blackout, with the gas going and the cast iron on the range, the kitchen was the warmest room in the house. This was not an accident. It was the design. Cast iron was not chosen for its appearance. It was chosen because it worked when other things did not. If you want the full story on what those skillets are worth today, and what the collectors who've known for decades haven't told anyone, that video is already on this channel. Number 15, the hand-operated tools. The electric can opener arrived in the early 1950s. The rival model, sleek chrome countertop appliance, sold for around $14 at Sears. Some women had one. Most kept the hand-operated model in the drawer as a matter of course, not as a backup, but as the primary tool that happened to share space with the newer one. A hand-crank can opener cost 69 cents. The rotary egg beater, 60 cents. The manual meat grinder that bolted to the counter edge, $3. None required current. She did not have to think about this when the lights went out. She had never stopped using them. Nothing in her kitchen failed because of the power. Number 14, the wind-up clock. The electric clock on the kitchen wall, a GE Telechron, white face, black numerals, reliable for years, stopped the moment the power failed. She glanced at it and noted the time. Then she set the West clocks on the counter, the wind-up one with the luminous hands, the one she had kept from before. Not everyone had kept theirs. The women who had given away their mechanical clocks during the post-war appliance rush, when everything electric felt like progress and everything wound by hand felt like the past, were the ones squinting at their wristwatches in the dark. She knew what time it was. That turned out to matter. Number 13, the telephone still worked. This is the one that surprises people now. The rotary telephone of the 1950s, black bakelite, heavy as a small stone, connected by a cord to the wall, was powered not by household current, but by its own dedicated line current, supplied continuously by the telephone exchange. When the household electricity failed, the telephone did not. She picked it up. She got a dial tone. She called her sister. She checked on her mother. She let her neighbor know she was all right. Here is what changed. Over the following 30 years, every system in the American home was quietly rewired to depend on a single source of power. The refrigerator, the stove ignition, the heating pump, the alarm clock, the radio, the security system, even eventually the telephone itself, until the landline was replaced entirely by a device that requires charging. Each replacement was sold as an improvement, each one was, but each replacement also quietly removed a skill. Not dramatically, not in a way that would have made the 6 o'clock news. One appliance at a time, each perfectly reasonable, the household was rebuilt around electricity until electricity stopped being a convenience and became the foundation. This video is based on years of research into how women actually lived 60 and 70 years ago. Not the simplified version, the real one. If you want to go deeper, the forgotten 1950s Feminine Routine Manual covers the domestic knowledge that was quietly set aside. It's at nostalgiawomen.com. This is the only mention. Number 12. She moved the food outside. In winter, the refrigerator problem solved itself. The back porch, the unheated garage, the cellar steps. In January in Ohio, any of these was a refrigerator and a half. She carried the meat first, then the butter and the milk. She packed everything into the cardboard box she kept by the back door for exactly this kind of use. The box went on the porch. She put a weight on the lid against the wind. She lost nothing. Not a piece of food, not a jar of rendered dripping, not the half-pound of good butter wrapped in waxed paper. No power, no loss. The cold had always been free. Number 11, the hot water bottles. 2 rubber hot water bottles hung on the hook inside the linen cupboard between the extra sheets and the folded guest towels. They had been there since the previous winter, or the winter before. When the heating failed with the power, she filled both from the hot tap while she still had pressure, wrapped them in pillowcases, and put them in the beds, one at the foot of each child's bed, one at the foot of hers. A correctly filled and wrapped hot water bottle holds warmth for 4 to 6 hours, enough for the night. A hot water bottle cost around $1.30 at the chemist in 1953. The ones she had were older than that, probably bought in the mid-40s. And they still worked. Number 10, the wool blankets. She had not thrown away the wool blankets. Most households in the early 1950s still had at least one military surplus wool blanket from the war years. Thick, heavy, olive or gray, with nothing synthetic in them. They were not decorative. They were the backup. When the heating failed, she pulled them from the cedar chest at the foot of the bed, that cold cedar and wool smell that meant warmth before the blankets were even unfolded. She had kept them. That turned out to be enough. Number 9, the pantry. There was no emergency. The pantry held 14 jars of tomatoes put up in August, 6 tins of Presto condensed soup, a tin of Maxwell House at 59 cents a pound, 2 pounds of dried navy beans in a glass jar, a sack of gold medal flour at 41 cents for 5 pounds, and a 3-pound tin of Crisco for 79 cents. This was not preparedness. This was ordinary. A 1950s housewife keeping a full pantry was not stockpiling against catastrophe. She was simply running a household the way a household ran. The power outage meant she could not open the refrigerator without losing the cold. It did not mean she could not eat. Number 8, the neighbor. Dorothy lived 3 houses down on the same side of the street. When the lights went out and it became clear this would last the night, she did not wait to be asked. She came down the street with a pot of soup pulled from the back of her stove, still hot, wrapped in a dish towel around the handles. The children ate at her kitchen table. Her husband had set a candle lantern on the porch so the street could see which house was warm. This was not heroism. It was not even unusual. It was Tuesday on this street, with different lighting. No phone call necessary. She had simply come. Number 7, she put the children to work, not to keep them occupied, because there was work to do. The children carried the candles to the rooms that needed them. The older one, 7 and reliable, held the torch while she moved food from the refrigerator. The younger sat at the kitchen table with a biscuit and was told, "Stay here, keep still." He stayed. She did not explain the blackout in terms designed to prevent panic. She was not panicked. And children read the room before they read the words. They hear the voice first, then the words, and her voice was ordinary. She told them what to do. They did it. The household continued. If this is finding you at the right moment, subscribe and hit the bell. Number 6, the cold storage. The door sat in the floor of the back kitchen, or sometimes at the base of the basement stairs, low, wooden, and cold to the touch even in July. Below it, a room that stayed between 40 and 50 degrees year-round through nothing but the thermal mass of the earth above it. No electricity, no mechanical cooling, no running cost. Not every 1950s home had one. Enough did. In it, jars of preserved tomatoes from August, onions and potatoes in burlap, occasionally apples packed in straw, a wheel of hard cheese wrapped in cloth that would keep for months. A power outage affecting a house with a root cellar left the food supply entirely undisturbed. The cold storage had been doing this since before electricity arrived. It continued after. Number 5, she sewed by the lamp. She had not stopped for the blackout. She had moved the lamp. The sewing basket sat by the chair in the parlor on ordinary evenings. The Aladdin lamp gave enough light to thread a needle, to mend the hem she had been putting off, to finish the curtain tie she had started on Sunday. The blackout made the parlor darker, not the work impossible. She had been sewing by candlelight and lamplight for most of her life. The electricity was the addition. The needle was the original. She mended a shirt sleeve and listened to the children settle in the next room. I find it difficult to locate a modern equivalent of that sentence. She was, by the standard of her own evening, entirely undisturbed. Number 4, the calm reached the children before the words did. This is not a skill you can purchase. When the lights went out, her first movement was deliberate and unhurried. She went to the drawer. She struck a match. She lit the lamp. She called the children's names in her normal voice, "Come to the kitchen." And they came. They did not run. They came the way they came for dinner, because her voice had the same weight it always had. If she had moved quickly and with visible concern, they would have moved quickly and with visible concern. The nervous system of a child in 1953 was the same as it is today. It reads the adult in the room before it reads the situation. She did not perform calm, she felt it, because she had done this before and she knew what came next. Number 3, she taught it before the emergency. Dorothy's daughter could light the oil lamp. She had helped fill it on Saturday mornings since she was 5, steadying the funnel while her mother poured from the kerosene tin. She knew how to strike a match, strike away from the body, hold the flame down to catch, not up. She knew that the hot water bottles lived on the hook in the linen cupboard. She knew these things not because there had ever been a lesson about them. She knew them because they had been part of a Saturday morning or a Tuesday, or a November evening by the lamp. The knowledge was not given in a crisis. It was given in the ordinary life of the house. Every item on this list was a practice, a physical thing she kept, a skill she used, a habit of the household that was already in place before the need arrived. Number 1 is not a practice. Number 1 is the reason every practice on this list still existed when she needed it. It is the only item on this list that cannot be bought, stored in a drawer, or learned in an afternoon. Number 1, she had never fully stopped. The generation that lived through the Depression and then the war had learned fully that electricity is a convenience, that running water can stop, that a full pantry is not excess, it is arithmetic. That knowledge did not disappear when the power came back on. It sat quietly inside the structure of the household, in the pantry kept full, in the storm drawer, in the wind-up clock on the counter, because she had never decided that the current arrangement was permanent. Dorothy's pot of soup reached the table before the children knew to be afraid. The lamp gave light enough. The gas stove kept going. The pantry did not notice the power had gone out. None of it required a special kit, a checklist, or a word for preparation. It required a life structured so that the knowledge was already inside it, before the need arrived, before the lights failed, before anyone thought to ask.